Why did the Normans struggle to control England? The rebellions that nearly dethroned William. Imagine this: you've just conquered an entire kingdom, defeated its king in battle, and placed the crown upon your head. Victory, right? Wrong. Because now, everyone in this kingdom hates you. The nobles plot your downfall. The common folk whisper curses in the streets. Rebellions explode like wildfire from the south to the north. Vikings, exiled Saxon princes, and even rogue outlaws rise against you. Your castles are besieged, your men ambushed, and the land itself resists your rule. How do you hold on to a throne when an entire country wants you dead? From the siege of Exeter to the fearsome last stand of Hereward the Wake, from the savage rebellions in the north to the brutal scorched-earth destruction of the harrying of the north, William the Conqueror found out the hard way. Winning a battle is easy. Keeping a kingdom? That's the real war. What drove the English to rebel against their new Norman overlords? Why did William unleash a wave of destruction that would leave entire regions in ashes? And what happened to the last Saxon warriors who refused to kneel? This is the real story of the Norman conquest. Not just of victory, but of blood, fire, and rebellion. Strap in, because history is about to get brutal. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and follow us for more epic history. It was Christmas Day, 1066. Westminster Abbey was packed with nobles, monks, and warriors as Duke William of Normandy knelt before the Archbishop of York. With the flickering torchlight casting eerie shadows on the high stone walls, the moment had come. The crown of England, once worn by Harold Godwinson, was placed upon William's head. The room was silent for a heartbeat. Then an uproar. Outside, Norman guards mistook the cheers of the coronation for an uprising and in a panic set fire to nearby buildings. Smoke curled into the cold December sky as Norman knights rushed through the streets, swords drawn, cutting down fleeing Londoners. That was William's first taste of ruling England, a kingdom that did not want him. The Battle of Hastings had been won, but the war to hold on to England had just begun. If William thought his new English subjects would bow and kiss his boots, he was sorely mistaken. The first signs of trouble came from Exeter in 1067. The city's leading families, staunchly loyal to the fallen House of Godwin, shut their gates to William's men and openly defied Norman rule. William, ever the pragmatist, marched westward with a brutal efficiency that would become his signature. He surrounded Exeter with a siege force and began methodically starving the city. The defenders, outnumbered and desperate, were forced to surrender after 18 days. To teach them a lesson, William ordered a blind Saxon noble to be brought before him. The man had been a symbol of defiance among the rebels. Without flinching, the conqueror had the noble's eyes gouged out before the entire city. Message received. Exeter fell in line. While William was busy tightening his grip on England, the surviving sons of Harold Godwinson, Edmund and Godwin, fled to Ireland and began assembling a fleet. Their goal? A full-scale rebellion to reclaim the throne. In the summer of 1068, they launched a surprise attack, raiding Norman-held Devon and Cornwall. At the same time, another rebellion erupted in the north, with Edwin, Earl of Mercia, and Morcar, Earl of Northumbria, leading the charge. William reacted with speed and fury. He marched his army north at breakneck speed, forcing Edwin and Morcar to surrender before their rebellion gained momentum. But the Godwinsons were still at large. That same year, William ordered the construction of massive stone castles across England, towering symbols of Norman dominance. The Tower of London, Warwick Castle, and York Castle all rose from the ground, their thick stone walls a direct challenge to any Englishman who dared to resist. Still, William knew deep down, this land was far from conquered. The north of England was a different beast entirely. Unlike the south, where William's power was gradually taking hold, the north remained fiercely independent. But what made it truly dangerous was its alliances with the Vikings. Enter King Sweyn II of Denmark. In 1069, Sweyn landed in Yorkshire with a fleet of warriors, throwing his weight behind the English rebels. Together with Hereward the Wake, the legendary outlaw of the fens, the Danes attacked York. The Norman garrison was slaughtered, their castle burned to the ground. For William, this was the last straw. He would make an example out of the north so terrifying that no one would dare rebel again. What followed was one of the most brutal military campaigns in English history. The harrying of the north. Winter, 1070. Snow covered the land, but it did nothing to hide the devastation. William's army burned entire villages to the ground. Crops were torched, homes reduced to rubble. Men, women, and children were slaughtered, not as soldiers but as an example. Any Saxon noble suspected of treason was put to the sword. The roads were lined with the bodies of those who starved to death after their food supplies were destroyed. Norman chronicler Orderic Vitalis later described the horror. Nowhere else had William shown such cruelty. He allowed his troops to kill indiscriminately. He made no effort to spare even the innocent. By the time the campaign was over 100,000 people were dead. Northumbria had been reduced to a wasteland. The Viking threat was gone, and the north was finally under Norman control, but at what cost? Even some of William's closest advisors began to question his methods. While most of England had been crushed under Norman rule, one man still refused to kneel, Hereward the Wake. Taking refuge in the marshes of Ely, Hereward led a guerrilla war against the Normans. His band of Saxon warriors raided Norman supply lines, ambushed patrols, and even stormed Peterborough Abbey to seize its treasures before the Normans could. For a time, Hereward became a Saxon legend, the Robin Hood of his age. But in 1071, William's forces laid siege to Ely. After months of resistance, the Norman army built a causeway through the marshland, finally overwhelming Hereward's forces. The rebel leader vanished into history, his fate unknown. With Hereward's disappearance, organized English resistance came to an end. By the 1080s, William's grip on England was unbreakable. The Saxon nobility had been crushed, their lands seized by Norman barons. Castles stood across the land as fortresses of foreign rule. The Domesday Book, completed in 1086, catalogued every inch of England as William's personal property. But even with all his victories, William's reign was plagued with rebellions, betrayals, and paranoia. He never fully trusted his English subjects, and they never truly accepted him. His reign was a lesson in conquest. A crown won in battle does not guarantee loyalty. True control requires more than just swords and castles. It demands the will of the people. And in England, that will had been crushed, but never truly extinguished. What do you think? Was William justified in his brutal campaigns, or did he go too far? Let us know in the comments. If you love history as much as we do, don't forget to follow us, subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell so you never miss our latest epic historical deep dives. Because history isn't just about the past, it's about the power of the stories we tell. See you in the next video.